In 2025, that was a year of global tensions. 2026, that seemed to have started on the same note, especially for Venezuela. It was a late-night strike. United States bombed several key strategic locations in Venezuela's capital, Caracas. President Donald Trump, who confirmed the development while also announcing that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife have been captured in the operation. They've been flown out of the country. Sources say Maduro has been arrested by U.S. personnel and will face trial on criminal charges against him. Venezuela has condemned U.S. action, saying they will fight external pressure and will not surrender or negotiate. The U.S. attack has led to a global meltdown. Russia has condemned U.S. airstrikes, calling it an act of armed aggression. Moscow has said justifications given by Washington are unfounded, as it urged all parties to avoid escalation. Russia has also called for an urgent meeting of United Nations Security Council to address this matter. Iran too has issued a statement opposing U.S. bombing of Venezuela. The Iranian Foreign Ministry said military aggression against a member of UN is gross violation of international peace and security.
What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to f around with the United States.
La Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariana informa al mundo entero que en la madrugada de hoy, 3 de enero, el pueblo venezolano ha sido objeto de la más criminal agresión militar por parte del gobierno de los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica. Hasta el momento, la barbarie de las fuerzas invasoras que han profanado nuestro suelo sagrado en las localidades de Fuerte Tiuna, Caracas, los estados Miranda, Aragua y La Guaira, llegando a impactar con sus misiles y cohetes disparados desde sus helicópteros de combate en urbanismos de población civil, para lo cual estamos ya levantando la información referente a heridos y muertos.
De los daños causados por el ataque criminal, el ataque terrorista contra nuestro pueblo, contra el suelo patrio, contra las instalaciones eléctricas, contra la revolución bolivariana y contra aquellos que inclusive no tienen nada que ver con la revolución bolivariana. Es un ataque contra Venezuela, contra la República Bolivariana de Venezuela.
And even as we continue to track all the developments, my colleague Pranay also with us on the broadcast. Pranay, I quickly want to come to you to understand how this has sent a wave of panic and fear, especially with those on the borders with Venezuela now preparing. We are learning of how Colombian President Gustavo Petro has also announced the deployment of public forces along the Venezuelan border, because they share about 2,000 kilometers of the land border.
Very true, Suresha. And obviously, many capitals and many leaders, those who are at odds with the U.S. President Donald Trump and with the United States in terms of the policy, must be very worried right now. Colombia has already went for the deployment. If you see the very architecture of Latin America and Caribbean region, U.S. has many bases there. Especially, they have their alliances, be it in Argentina, be it in Guyana, Trinidad, Tobago. Many countries are there for the U.S. to operate in that region. And if you see the argument which is being played out in the United States, and I think Rohit would be able to add in this, that U.S. administration's primary argument is this: that they are treating Nicolas Maduro not as a head of state, but as a fugitive, and they have brought back a person who is against the U.S. interest, who has sponsored terrorism and narco in the drugs and illicit trade in the United States. He will be produced before the courts, and he will face the U.S. courts, because there is a case pending against Nicolas Maduro since 2020. It was opened in 2020. And since then, he is considered as a fugitive. And if you see the wordings of the statements put out by the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he clearly said that Nicolas Maduro is not the legitimate president. He's not the leader of a state. He's not a not a legitimate head of state, but rather a fugitive. So we have brought back a fugitive, and this is the argument, and that's why U.S. Or the Trump administration will play at the Capitol Hill as well. That they did not have to go for the authorization of the U.S. Congress or the U.S. Senate Arms Committee, because they are not at war with the country, because this was only a law and order operation.
Hmm. And Rohit, I want to come back to you to what you're picking up from your sources on where Maduro and his wife are. That is the biggest question that is being asked. Venezuela, of course, figuring out the extent of damage, deaths, casualties, that even as they ask for proof of life, US also establishing that criminal charges against Maduro, and he will face trial in the United States, setting a wrong precedent. You can't just carry out a military strike, pick up the head of state and bring him to your country to face the law. But where is Maduro?
Well, we do not know as of right now. I think everybody is mum about it. I mean, just heard from the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who would be in charge of prosecuting Nicolas Maduro. She basically said that he will face full wrath of American justice on American soil in American courts. Now, which means that he should be, and he will be presented in one of the courts. He did have a warrant issued against him. He could probably, technically, the warrant was issued in New York, so they might want to take him there, or they might, present him in a court, maybe Florida. We do not know that yet, but looks like he would be brought to mainland, while his wife does not have any warrant. So it could also mean that she possibly would be split from Maduro, and she could possibly want to, seek asylum or go to the US with what she wants to do. But it looks like at this point in time that he would be presented in a court. And now the rules state that once he's on the mainland, he should be presented to court as soon as one is available. He is a head of the state, so we'll have to see what kind of protocol the US follows. But he was indicted by the Southern District of New York in 2020, so it could possibly also mean that he might be flown to New York. We do not know. But because the Attorney General Pam Bondi just said that he will face full wrath of American justice on American soil in American courts, that means he would be brought to mainland America and he would be presented in front of a judge.
Rohit and Pranay, do stay on with